Welcome back to Light Beyond the Ashes, the podcast where science meets spirituality and awakening becomes embodied. I'm your host, Amber Humphrey. On this episode, Tony Sposit, known to millions as the TikTok history teacher, returns for another mind-expanding episode. But today, we're not just talking history, we're talking awakening. In this powerful second appearance, Tony opens up about his own spiritual evolution, what shifted and what cracked open, and how it changed the way he sees science, consciousness, and the human body. Together, we explore a truth that challenges both skeptics and spiritual seekers alike. Spirituality and science are not enemies. They are two languages describing the same reality. We dive into nervous system healing, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern research, and the emerging framework of somatic engineering. His work focused on helping people regulate, recalibrate, and reconnect their bodies in a grounded, measurable way. We even explore the ancient Egyptians and their intentional use of gemstones, not as superstition, but as tools aligned with frequency, structure, and the body's innate capacity to heal. This episode is thoughtful, it's bold, and it is expansive. If you've ever felt caught between logic and intuition, research and resonance, this conversation is for you. If this episode resonates with your mind and your soul, subscribe and share it with someone who is ready to explore the bridge between science and the sacred. Welcome back to Light Beyond the Ashes, the podcast where we talk about all things spiritual. But on this one, we're going to really dive into the science behind what we've all been talking about and experiencing during our spiritual awakening. And I'm so excited to bring back my very first guest. I have Tony Sposit, the TikTok history teacher today. He flew in all the way from Michigan to Texas. So Tony, welcome to the show in person. I'm so
Hi.
happy to have you.
Thank you.
So last time we talked about frequency, we talked about Egypt, we talked about your music, the Awakened History Teacher, which we'll talk about again because you have some new music coming out.
Oh, I got plenty more.
Oh, yeah. And your album dropped, Summer City Lights. So
Yeah.
It's streaming everywhere on SoundCloud and Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere, right?
Yes, next one's coming out here very shortly.
Very excited. Hopefully we can share some today.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Tony, this time I really want to dive in to the meat and potatoes of your spiritual awakening.
Oh, boy.
I want to, show the world that not only are we waking up as a collective of humanity, but that there's ancient, history behind what we're experiencing, as well as a scientific way to prove channels and connections and divination and all the things that I perceive and a lot of us perceive as spirituality. I'm leaning on you to kind of give us some science to support what we're going through.
Absolutely.
Are you down for that today?
Absolutely.
All right. So when exactly did you find that you started to shift from being Tony the paramedic, just living your regular schmegular life, to becoming an awakened person? What was that experience like for you?
It was January 2023 is when I really noticed it. And the further I got into it, I felt different. So the further I get into it, the more I realize it's a different feeling than it is anything. And see, I rejected it a bunch of times. So I kept going back into it, and then I'd reject it, and I'd go back into it, and then I'd reject it. And it eventually became more and more prevalent. Kind of like that scene in Harry Potter where they're trying to get him the letter, and the letter keeps going, and then the owls keep showing up. It just keeps dumping letters in there.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept building to the point that it's, all right, I can't ignore this.
Why were you trying to push it away?
Didn't understand.
How did it start manifesting in your life to where it was something that was different? What was that moment like?
I began to understand things differently and question whether how I feel or what I feel is correct. Right? The further I get into it, the more I realized that everything I had learned ever is incorrect. The biggest lie the human race has ever been told is that nothing is that simple. The lie is that that's wrong. Everything and anything is really just that simple. The simplest solution is what we look for. And that still fits with somatic engineering, what we're doing, that fits with everything is just look at the simplicity of it first.
Did you start hearing a higher self like I did when I started waking up? I was hearing like this voice. I'd already kind of heard my inner voice for a really long time. It felt like a dialogue for a while, but I never really felt like it was guiding me in the way that when my January 2023 awakening happened, I started hearing that I was safe and that I was loved and protected. And it kind of like threw me for a loop of like, hey, who the hell are you?
I thought it was my conscience for the longest time. It wasn't until around April of 25 that I started recognizing who and what it was. And, he's a smartass just like me. So listening to him for a second and hearing what he says, now I understand what he's saying and how we speak. But it took me a while to realize what that was. It really I rejected this and went in and out of it so much that it really wasn't until the beginning of 2025 that I really began to understand it.
How did you start to understand it? Like what shifted?
I can't answer that. So something shifted. I don't know what it was, but I started viewing things differently. And then the further I went into it, the more I viewed it differently, the more things meant clarity and saw understanding. And you actually started seeing personality changes with me.
Yeah, I found that my personality started changing too, and I don't think that people understood that this is actually the realest me that ever has existed versus the old version of me had maladaptive behaviors and survival strategies and all these different unhealthy coping skills. And sometimes I was more aggressive or I was more agitated or I was more like control based. And then the more I found this inner voice within me and then my own spiritual healing and nervous system regulation, the softer I became. Did you also notice a softness that started to kinda come upon you, or what was that shift like personality-wise for
The
you?
softness has been very recently.
Okay.
The key change for me was I wanted to get help. I didn't want before that, I didn't want to go to therapy or seek regulation-based therapy or simple things like chiropractic care,
Mhm.
right? That plays such it's still a holistic care and it plays such a role into things. And I didn't want to do those things until I started waking up. Then it's like, okay, well, I need to start taking care of myself.
Yeah. Did you find that it was like this moment of like, "I can't deal with my bullshit anymore and I wanna feel better. I'm tired of feeling this way."
That yeah,
Yeah.
it was a come to myself moment where I looked in the mirror and I'm not kidding. I looked at myself in the mirror and went, I suck.
Oh.
Right? Like all these things that people say or all these things that they are or say to me, yeah, they're true.
Like
They're
what?
they're not right, you know? The way I behaved, the way I acted, how I talked to people, what I did. The most freeing and yet terrifying moment is to look at something that happened that you thought you were 100% in the right on and look back at it and go, "Ooh, no, no, I was 100% wrong." Like, I look at a job that I lost and I go, yeah, I would have fired me too."
Mm.
Right? You know what I mean? It's very difficult to look back at those things and face, I believe in spirituality, it's called dark night of the soul,
Mhm.
and face all of those things and see it as, "No, it's me. I have to accept responsibility and accountability for this." Not all of it is, but I have to accept responsibility and accountability for the things that I did. So part of my awakening was to go to people that I had hurt and apologize and go, "Listen, I didn't understand what I was doing. I'm sorry." And it's not so much about making amends in the relationship as it was me accepting and responsibility and accountability for who I was. And part of that looking at me and saying I suck was I don't want to be like this anymore. This is not who I want to be. This is not who I am.
Did you find that the more you leaned into the dark night of the soul, like, obviously, it was very uncomfortable. It's very painful. There's a lot of sorrow. There's a lot of anger. There's shame and guilt. All those, like, really low vibrational emotions rose to the surface for me. Did they rise for you during that season?
Fear.
Fear.
It's terrifying,
Yeah.
right? And especially when you look at things and go, everything I have ever known in my life is incorrect and wrong. I have to relearn how to do all of it. that becomes incredibly difficult in every way
Yeah.
because then I have to learn what I'm doing again.
Did you also find that it was hard when you were maybe one of the few people around you that were doing this and, like, going into the deep, profound healing? Because I think a spiritual awakening, how I perceive it as someone who's a woman of science, I have a master's degree, occupational therapist, right? I did not have in the way that I have God, source, universe now, I did not have this before. Like, I was raised in religion, but I'm not religious. But when I started getting this healing of a spiritual awakening, I found that to be deep, profound, prolonged healing of the body, mind, and soul is how I perceived what a spiritual awakening really was. Did you find that it was hard when you were going through deep, profound, prolonged healing that other people weren't waking up beside you?
No, I'm introspective. I'm very introspective. So I don't need environments to attune to. I can attune to myself. So actually, I prefer that when I need to get that clarity, that divination, I prefer to isolate. I hide, right? When I have emotional breaks, or in such case, in somatics, where I have somatic moments, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Absolutely.
But I find isolation to be best. There are very few people that I will allow to be around me during those, in particularly two I know of, right? But there are very few people that I will not allow to be around me because I need to be introspective.
Do you feel like it's hard to feel safe when you're going through a dark night of the soul?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that as I've met more and more people who are waking up,
Mhm.
the common theme that we have all discussed is nervous system regulation and how incredibly essential it is when you're waking up to have strategies, have coping skills, have a way to regulate the nervous system, which is a huge part of what you and I are going to talk about today in the somatic healing and the somatic engineering that we're going to be discussing. What role did nervous system regulation play for you along the way?
I didn't the more I got into this, the more I realized I have to understand it. And the more I learned about myself is how I understand things. I needed to explain it, right? Which has led to what we're doing, but is I needed to be able to answer this and explain it. There is part of what I believe in all of this that is faith, that you have to go off of this and go, okay, so there's a constant in here that I can't account for. However, I needed to explain it. And once I understood how and why it worked, I went, okay, the nervous system regulation is not just a part, it's the key. There are two things in the body that go everywhere: blood and nerves. That's that's how we feel. So this is the reason why this works. Now I understand why it works and how it works, and I can look at it and go, okay, this is why I feel this way. Nervous system regulation is a big deal. Spiritual awakenings have to do with the nervous system.
Mhm.
Somatic emergences have to do with the nervous system.
Yeah, and before I dive too far into the somatic engineering and the nervous system regulation component, I do wanna touch on your somatic emergence,
Mhm.
because shortly after you had yours, I had mine.
Mhm.
Can we tell that story of what it was like for you to walk through what you call a somatic emergence?
It's rapid. My spiritual awakening took over time.
Mhm.
Somatic emergence basically just happened. And we can explain that further when we get into it of what it is, but it happened real rapidly. It was over time and it was very public. I was actually on a live on TikTok when it happened. And it took me days after to realize what it was, how it worked, and what happened.
What were you experiencing on the live? How did you know something was happening?
It felt like I had just gotten, like, I am allergic to bees. So I have to take an EpiPen when I get stung. It felt like I just took 3 EpiPens to the thigh and was charged, and it wasn't going away. And I was feeling everything. I walked outside and I could feel the grass and it felt different. The wind felt different. Everything felt different. And the further I got into it, I'm like, this is not going away. You know, I could feel things very, very differently. And once I got over it, I have to explain this now so I understand what happened. I need to be able to understand why it happened and what happened so I can give myself context.
Right.
Once I started going through it and understanding it, okay, now I know what happened. Then I can integrate that into what I do. Then you went through it and I watched you and I went, oh, I know what that is. I know what this is, right? This is going to suck,
It
right?
sucked.
This is going to suck, right? It's going to be great for the first part of it, but there's going to be day 3 and day 5 are going to be just absolutely awful.
What's funny is I was I was making TikTok videos in throughout that week, and I had done one on Monday when it started, and I was like on cloud 9. I was super like euphoric, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like a 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then day 2 happened, and I crashed. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my god!" Like fetal position overnight. Like what happened? Nothing had happened. And then day 3, I'm coming back out of it. Day 4, it was like literally a roller coaster, up, down,
Mm-hmm.
up, down, up, down. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like nothing had happened. Like recently I lost my grandfather. My mother is in hospice still and she's sick. And like bad quote unquote, bad things have happened. Right. And nothing had moved this fast and with this intensity since the original like awakening. And so I did not know what was happening. I reached out to you and you're like, oh, you're going through a somatic emergence too. And we're both somatic dominant, which you can explain like what that
Mhm.
means because we feel so deeply.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
So somatic dominance is in somatic engineering, there are 3 axes in which the body works, and it has to do with the nervous system. Axis 1 is your dominance. It's how you process information coming into the body. So how your body receives the signal. Your second axis is your analytics. This is how your body interprets the signal, right? This is how it processes it. Your third one is your analysis. This is how your body actually understands it. So in your case, you're a somatic dominant attunement processor with emotional analysis, right? I am a somatic dominant intuitive processor with metacognitive analysis. So it operates on how your body receives the information. Being somatic dominant, we feel first,
Right.
right? So where some people get the information and then think about it, we don't. We get the information and feel it.
I've always felt so deeply,
And
and I
then
lead with
once
my heart.
and then once it goes into your analysis style, your attunement. So you look externally for cues for understanding to how it works. You read the environment, the people, whoever it may be. I go internal and I look at my intuition and my introspective to understand it. And then once you get to analysis, it's how your body does it. You use emotion
Mhm.
to fuel that and understand it. I use introception and other bits and pieces that use cognitive and other abilities to understand why it works and how it works.
And each of us have different processing systems.
Yeah, you can be an emotional dominant somatic processor.
Mhm.
You can be a cognitive dominant emotional processor. It's all about how the body receives the information, how the nervous system receives that signal,
Mhm.
and then what it does afterwards.
Okay. So then this is a great opportunity now for us to really dive into what is somatic engineering, the new field of science that you've created and brought me into.
It's a it's a framework, right? And what it is it's basically the nervous system and human behavior follows a predictable trajectory. Human behavior is a pattern. The body is a pattern. The nervous system is a pattern. The universe is a pattern. It likes symmetry. It likes geometry. And that fits into a lot of numerology, sacred geometry, all of those things. The universe and the body likes that.
Right.
So what I'm able to do is via pattern recognition is be able to track this pattern of how the body regulates and then apply whatever we want to that. So while in a case like you being an OT, you can then see what is actually triggering the nervous system to have a response to something and then treat that trigger rather than symptoms or results or whatever. If you treat that trigger, the symptoms, the results resolve on their own.
Right.
So symptoms and everything that people see, even in illness, nausea, you know, pain, management, psychology, suffering, ADHD, autism,
All of it.
all of it. They are all the downstream effects of regulation.
Right.
They are what the body feels needs to be done to maintain coherence and regulation.
So, for example, there's the firework goes off. I have complex PTSD. It triggers me from being in a battle war torn zone, right?
Mhm.
Now I have a heart rate that's rapid because my
Mhm.
body is signaling, hey, you're in danger. There's a threat. You need to flee.
Mhm.
You need to run away from this threat, right? Because in the
Mhm.
past, for protection, your body said, you actually do need to run away from this threat. That's a bomb. You need to go. And so then the body does not, it learns habits, it learns patterns, and it's
Mhm.
teaching you automatically, not cognitively and volitionally. It's very involuntary, it's reflexive, which is a lot of what I work on, reflex integration. It triggers, for me, it's triggering the fear paralysis reflex, which is a response to auditory input. And then it's triggering my sympathetic nervous system that's now
Mhm.
telling me fight, flight, freeze, fawn, go
Mhm.
do something to escape this threat. And so what you're saying is that through understanding these patterns of behavior for the nervous system for humans, that we can actually identify where an issue, a trigger is happening and help a person with regulation.
Let's stop the firework from going off in the first place. If you stop the firework from going off, all the other symptoms that are downstream, all of those complex PTSD things that you said, go away. The body doesn't feel it needs to compensate for that anymore. It never happened
How do we do that?
in multiple different ways. So in our case, we can do, in your case, you will treat the, instead of treating the symptom of what it is as an OT, your application of what you do would be to treat that ignition point, which is what we call it in somatic engineering, the ignition point. Treat there.
Mhm.
In a medical aspect, with somatic engineering, is we'll give you a document to take to your doctor and go treat this. And this is why you see a lot of people, especially medically, that have polydiadotic polypharmacotic patients who are on who have 50 different diagnoses and are on 50 different medications with conditions and symptoms that make absolutely no sense sitting together. Okay, that's not how the body works.
Right.
It's a pattern. That's all it is.
And then the medicines are just like, there's a symptom for this one and this one. You're
You're
managing everything.
you're treating the symptoms, you're not treating the problem. This is why you'll have people that'll have chronic conditions, like chronic heart conditions. Okay, you have a chronic heart condition. We're switching to management. We're going to give you medications and do this to do that. But why did this happen in the first place?
Yeah, why are we not more curious as a society of like the root cause versus putting like a band-aid on a bullet wound of just like,
Right?
yeah, this is fine. This is patchwork. Well, it'll get by. You might have, decreased tachycardia, but we don't know why your heart's behaving the way it's behaving.
That's what started this. Is now we got to find the why. Because the thing is while medication is good and management is good, we're not fixing the problem.
As a society, as a global
Right?
society.
Medicine was broken up in the early 1900s into systems. This is not how ancient cultures did this. They looked at the human as a whole. A lot of what I do is based off of ancient Egypt, right? And eventually ancient Greece, because that's where the Egyptian knowledge went. They looked at the body as a whole. What somatic engineering does is sit at the pinpoint of 5 different things. It sits at the pinpoint of systems theory, complex systems theory, neurobiology, um, cybernetics, and somatic and emotional healing. And it sits right on the convergence point of all of those and says, let's look at the human as a human and find out where this is pinpointed to in a medical aspect. If we can find the thing that's triggering the nervous system, that's telling, because the nervous system controls everything.
It does.
It controls your heart rate. It controls how you breathe, what happens, where everything goes. It controls it all. So if we can figure out why the body is being flagged and what's causing those symptoms, we can then treat the actual problem. When I describe it to people, I use the weed analogy,
Okay.
right? If you have a weed in your garden
Hmm.
and you cut off the top of the weed, does it go away?
No,
It grows back. What do you got to get?
the roots.
So if you go into and to the body and cut off the top of the weed and treat the symptoms,
Mhm.
right? Now, don't get me wrong. There are reasons to treat those symptoms. You know what I mean? There are lots of reasons to treat those symptoms. Modern medicine is not wrong. It's incomplete,
Right,
right? So what we do is medicine now is cutting off the top of the root, but it keeps growing back.
right.
And this is why you'll have people that you'll get rid of 3 symptoms and then 5 more will show up.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me, as someone who struggled with chronic illness and autoimmune diseases and, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, lupus, like, all of these GI upset, anxiety, depression, insomnia, like, I struggled profoundly for many, many, many years, and I was getting more and more medications every year. I was gaining more and more weight. I had less and less energy, and I felt sicker. So by the end of it, I'm almost 300 pounds, and I did not feel any better with all of the medications that I was giving myself, and in fact had tons of symptoms of them, right? And then I was constantly going back and forth. Now, is medicine required sometimes? Absolutely. Do whatever you need to do to
Mhm.
take care of your body. But in my particular instance, when I went through my spiritual awakening and I started using my body, yoga was the first thing that I did. And yoga really is just like it's breath work and it's sustained positions, which are working on fascial release. And so much of our trauma is stored in our fascia in our body,
Mhm.
which is kind of like this plasma, like fourth state of matter that lives in the body. Neither a liquid nor a solid. Like fascia, I dissected a human body in grad school, which is just a trip and a half to do something like that. But fascia was so fibrous to cut through, but it's our entire connective tissue that holds us together as humans.
Mhm.
And then we're not really addressing the fact that trauma can get stored in the fascia. And then these memories and pain, I found that when I was in prolonged child's pose and just breathing, I would have big emotions rise to the surface. And I was like, what is going on? But the more I leaned into the what is going on, I'm going to keep breathing. I'm going to do some vagus nerve stimulation, which is the 10th cranial nerve that innervates all the way down the neck, the throat, down to the heart, the diaphragm, and to the gut. Now you're talking when your stomach drops. Like what is that sensation? It's coming from the vagus nerve that's giving you an
Mhm.
impulse up to the brain. My heart is now racing. Okay, well, that's my heart working with my brain together. Again, vagus nerve is involved. This is the powerhouse one nerve. There's many nerves, but this is like one nerve. It's such a powerful nerve that is giving sensory information from almost the entire body through the gut, the heart, and the mind.
It's not just a single nerve. It's not just
No,
a single thing. It's the key
it
nerve.
is the key nerve.
So your heart actually has its own neural network. The Heart Math Institute calls it the heart brain.
Mhm,
Your heart contains more neurons than your brain does, right? It contains over 40,000 neurons in the heart.
mhm.
Ancient Egyptians saw the heart as the seat of the awareness, the consciousness, and the intelligence. When you realize that the heart was supposed to lead, the brain is not. The heart sends 5 times as many signals to the brain as the brain sends down to the heart. The problem is that your nervous system receives over 11 million signals a second,
That's crazy.
right? How many do you think your brain can hold?
20, 30,
40.
40.
40 out of 11 million is what your brain can take in. The other 10,900,000 and some don't disappear. They don't just go away. They're processed by the heart.
Because we also have the heart vortex, which we can talk about too, how it goes out into the field and it's felt. Like
Mhm.
this is measurable, right? These
Mhm.
frequencies are measurable.
Mhm. You can measure the brain up to a meter or so away from the body. The heart can be measured. Measurable heart rate variability can be measured up to 9 to 10 feet away from a human.
Wow.
Right. So naturally, I look at it when I started building this like, okay, so what if the heart is supposed to lead? What if it's supposed to receive all this and then send the signal to the brain? And the more you look into that, you more go, the brain is not supposed to lead. You're not supposed to be cognitive dominant.
No, and I think this goes back to the fact that, like, so much of our experience right now is unnatural. Like, our environments are unnatural, our work schedules, our home environments, the school environments, like being in boxes, not having community. There's so much that's unnatural, and we've detached from this heart connection even with each other, right?
You're forced out of it.
Yeah, you're forced out of it. It's like it's very isolating. Everyone lives in little apartments and like little boxes, right?
Mhm.
And I think about how when I go into a community space and I'm with people, like how it feels so fulfilling when you're out in nature, how good you feel. You go to a park, everyone seems pretty damn happy at the park.
It's called entrainment.
Yeah, and so we're in training to each other, attuning to each other. And you've taught me too that when I'm working with patients and I'm using my own energy of just like love frequency putting out into the field, you told me that my clients are attuning to my frequency, to
Mhm.
my energy. And when I have learned more from my Reiki master when I'm working in those spaces, I have people feel me. They say, "Oh my God, your energy is big."
Mhm.
Right? And so then they soften and they feel me more. What is going on there?
It's about safety. The nervous system operates on 3 things. It operates on resonance, coherence, and safety. Okay? If it has 2 of the 3, produces a response. So if you have no safety, you're gonna get either flight, freeze, or fawn,
Mhm.
right? If you have safety and coherence, but no resonance, it's gonna operate differently. Now, there are more in there as far as the 3 major ones are those, but the body wants homeostasis. So everything that we see, every response, every feeling, every thought is a response to the body continuing to maintain homeostasis and coherence. If you have negative thoughts about something, that's your body, your nervous system recognizing a pattern.
Mhm.
You've done this before. You've seen this before. You've felt this before, and triggering that response. PTSD then becomes simple. It is quite literally a stored memory, in our case in somatic engineering, a stored somatic arc that the body returns to because it wants to complete it. So every time it returns, every time it retrieves that signal, it returns to that arc
Mhm.
to try and complete it. If you can't complete it, it stalls out again and it stays.
Explain what a stalled arc might manifest as or look like and what we need to know about that.
Being scared is a stalled arc. The human body, in this case, the reason we say arcs is because it's the framework interpretation of what this is. Arcs are predictable, easy to track and follow, right? So what happens is as you travel this arc, you want to go from ignition point to resolution. That's what the body wants. That's how it maintains coherence and baseline. As you travel this arc, if something happens like PTSD, the arc stalls out. So basically, it drops and starts again, right?
Instead of completing. And
Instead of completing. Now, it's not one arc. The body runs arcs like it does a heart rhythm. It just runs millions of arcs
it's
at the same
constantly
time. It's
happening.
constantly doing it, right? So you can manage them like an EKG rhythm and you can track them. The arc stalls all the time. Sometimes you get a stalled arc once, sometimes it's this, that's like an arrhythmia.
Mhm.
The problem is when you get multiple stalled arcs on top of each other, or collapsed arcs, or changed arcs
Mhm.
that revector or change. And the more these stack on top of each other, the more are running. You continue running more and more and more. Now you have anxiety because the body doesn't know what to do. You go backwards and say the body fails to start these arcs. It can't fire them. It sees the signal but doesn't initiate an arc. That's depression,
Mm.
right? ADHD is basically multiple arcs running at the same time, and the brain can't make sense because your heart is feeling it and sending a whole bunch of signals to the brain, and the brain is literally going, "What the hell, dude?" So you're running too many tabs. To
Yeah.
clear that out, we just have to tell it what to run.
So then how do we work through that? Like from your perspective, through One Ancient Earth
Mhm.
and somatic engineering, what can we do from your perspective?
So, from my perspective, we use what we call interventional artifacts. You see, ancient cultures used stones for a reason. They used oils for a reason. They used sound and entrainment for a reason. If you reverse engineer an ancient Egyptian temple and look at any of them, Dendera, Khufu, any of them, they're all built the same way. They are square rectangular boxes that have multiple wings that have circular pillars in them to hold it up. And then right in the middle towards the front is an anchor This is your ritual bath. Your in churches nowadays, it's an altar, right? That's your anchor point, and people would go around that anchor, right?
Mhm.
The problem is the more you go through this, the more you realize that the oil, which is called pipette, the stones that they wore, they weren't symbolic. They were used
As healing
as
modalities.
as tools. Stones like lapis lazuli and amethyst and any of those that they claim have energetic properties, it's a stone. They don't have energy. But what they do have is lattices and matrices that the nervous system reads.
Mhm.
When it reads these things, it sees the stone as a property, as something it can use. So when you had these ancient pharaohs that had lapis lazuli necklaces or big amulets or bracelets made out of precious gemstones,
Mhm.
right? Those were there for a reason because they're triggering the nervous system to regulate. Lapis lazuli is clarity, right? If you're the ruler of a kingdom, you're gonna want clarity.
Mhm.
So that's what they used. We've found a modern way to use gemstones and what are unfortunately recalled semi-precious gemstones, right?
These beautiful bracelets.
Okay, semi-precious gemstones that are taught as trinkets that you buy in airport stores and museum gift shops are 10 times more powerful than any bracelet that you can buy in a jewelry store, any stone, any diamond. They're the real precious gemstones.
So, what do you call this bracelet that you gave me?
Mhm.
What is this called? If I wanted to purchase this, what would you call this?
This is it's you can do it as a bracelet, but it's called an arc
An
reactor.
arc reactor. And so, talk about mine and how this is formulated and how it would help me.
So what we do is we do a somatic profile, right? The profile asks you between 25 to 35 questions and you answer them to the best of your ability. It's kind of like one of those unknown questionnaires.
Mhm.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Mhm.
And what we do is we then take that and process that information, right? We run it through a custom designed program using AI that actually picks out all the pieces
Mhm.
and it will profile you and tell me what your nervous system is doing and why.
Mhm.
Now, it usually I tell it to give me an X that marks the spot because what I'm looking for is one particular thing, the thing that is causing everything you want to heal or fix. Why is the nervous system flagging that?
Mhm.
Tell me why. Once we do that, we can get a bracelet and make a bracelet that actually intervenes in that process,
Mhm.
right? That gives the body something to hold on to. The bracelets are not bracelets, they're somatic anchors. They give the body something to hold on to when you start feeling
When
that.
it's processing those 11 million signals.
Right. So when it's processing those 11 million signals, the body reads the bracelet and goes, oh, that's stable.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So all of a sudden, the downstream effects don't work as much because the body knows how to complete those arcs. It knows how to finish them.
Mhm.
Each stone carries its own signature, which is where we get the energetic signatures from. So, for example, the one you had is rose quartz, emerald, and seraphinite, right? And it has hematite anchors and moonstone gates. Now, the way this works is the body reads it from your dominant hand, whichever way your hand is. So, if you wear it on your left hand, it reads it left to right. If you wear it on your right hand, it reads right to left, right? So mine always reads right to left. So my entry in this is here, my exit is over here, right? So as you read it, as the body reads it, it finds it and finds it biologically relevant and then uses it. The correlation of stones that we put in it is what tells the body what we want to do with it.
Based on your somatic profile,
Right.
that doesn't take more than 10 minutes to do.
Nope.
And then it goes to you and I.
Mhm.
And we are now working together. And I'm going to be your very first ever somatic engineering practitioner,
Mhm.
the lead clinical consultant to help you with creating interventions that are, not through the lens of an occupational therapist, but as a lens of an expert in the field of nervous system regulation and somebody who has benefited from these myself. My children have benefited, my husband's
Mhm.
benefited from them. and my patients are buying them as well.
Mhm.
I put mine on Hazel, my 7-year-old. I think hers was amethyst and rose quartz, is I think hers. And she was really struggling with emotional dysregulation. She's sensory processing kiddo, emotional dysregulation, reflex integration. All of those are active and very, very much like why she comes to occupational therapy. And I think over a month and a half ago now, we gave her this bracelet. And she herself has said, Mommy, I cry less. I'm more in control of my emotions. And she's using her tools. And I find that she doesn't even want to take it off. My oldest daughter, who's 13, she was playing with it so much because she turned hers into a fidget. So we had to make her a
Yeah,
fidget.
we made her a new one as we came down here. I'm like, we're
Uh-huh.
gonna have to swap these.
Yes. Because she said it makes me feel so calm. And she said, I said, how often are you using this? She's like, all day, every day. And so even to want to take them off, like Cole said today, I don't take mine off. I'm like, you should probably take it off so your body can reach
Mhm.
baseline again and then come back to feeling the effects of it. Cause it kind of can have that moment of you've habituated to it, you've gotten used to it. And so your nervous system needs to, what is it like without it? And then to put it back on so you can have the optimal effect of it.
It sees it as part of itself.
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is when you take the bracelet off, the body goes, okay, it's not there anymore and returns to baseline. But when you put it back on, the body then goes, I know exactly what that is, and we can use it again. We give the bracelets a duty cycle. So we say everywhere between 12 to 14 hours is how much you want to wear them.
Take them off after that.
Take them off after that. So lasts pretty much an entire day.
Yeah.
I wear mine from the time I finish getting cleaned up to the time I go to bed, which generally be 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the day, I can start feeling it that, okay, this isn't working so well, right? This isn't working so well. I have to stop wearing this.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of times I'll switch bracelets throughout the day, depending on
Okay.
how I feel,
Yeah.
right? So I'll switch to a different one and try a different one. It all depends on what's going on.
So anyone who's just like listening and thinks, oh, this is just hokey, it's a bracelet, how it can't actually help. You're like, no, this is based in ancient civilizations through what we know about these different gemstones
Mhm.
and what we know about the nervous system and the body itself.
Mhm.
Is there anything you would say to someone who's like, this is quackery or this is BS?
Okay.
Okay, it's just a fair answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me prove it.
Yeah. Cole put his on, and within 10 minutes, he was like, my arm feels like heavy. Like he
Mhm.
felt something. My patient put one on, one of the moms I'm working with, and she was like, I haven't had this much energy in like weeks. And I'm like, uh-huh. She's like, I had to take it off. I had too much energy today. She just told me that on Wednesday, right? Like there are physical sensations that people are experiencing. And you're the TikTok history teacher, and people are buying all this stuff all over the internet with you.
Mhm.
And you have people who are talking to you. What kind of
Mhm.
testimonials or things that have your, like, people who follow you online are saying,
I had a guy that was struck by lightning.
what?
Yeah,
My bro.
There was a guy that messaged me. He goes, "I'd like to get a bracelet." I said, "Okay, no problem." And he said, "I have problems quieting my brain. I feel like this when I get around electricity. Magnets hurt me. I like go places and I can't. TVs don't work like this." And he's reading this, and I'm literally looking at this and going, "What the hell?" Right? Like, okay, fill this profile out,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to identify exactly why he feels like this and what's going on. His nervous system was effectively overcharged and it's running at high speed all the time. So how do I fix that? I got to slow it down. I got to tell it what to do to process. And the guy, I remember doing it because he messaged me and he said, "I don't know if you can get this to me by Christmas, but it was my Christmas present to myself." And I got on a message with him. I said, "Listen, let me run it and I'll let you know." He got me the questionnaire at like 3 o'clock. I messaged him at like 5. I'm like, "Are you available?" He's like, "Let's say 7." So 7 o'clock, he called me and I looked at him. I says, "I got news for you. I got information," and explained to him what his nervous system doing. And I said, "I can help." He's like, "Well, doctors are saying this." I'm like, "You're not crazy. These are real. This is a thing. I can help." Started crying right away. He goes, "I don't know how long it's going to take." And at that time, Lindsay was right behind me. I looked at Lindsay. I said, "How quickly?" She goes, "Do you have the profile done?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Can you get me the blueprint?" I'm finishing it up right now. She goes, "Okay." She sits down right there, built it. And she goes, "It'll be out in the mail tomorrow morning." Right. And we overnighted it to the guy to make sure he got it by Christmas, to make sure he got it. That's Ancient Earth is not about making money. It's about humans and helping people. You know, people will look at us and go, "You're offering this stuff for way too cheap." It's not about money. It's about giving this to people.
Mhm.
History belongs to the world. It's not my history. I just tell it. This stuff belongs to the world. It belongs to humans to help heal and make them better. Medicine is not the only way. If I can take a patient who is on 40 different meds daily and has 30 different diagnoses and identify the problem where it is to where maybe they stop having all the associated symptoms. And yeah, they might have to take 2 or 3 pills a day,
Yeah.
but they feel better and we're treating the issue. That's what matters. A human is better being a human. Humans are inherently not broken. They're just out of tune.
And that's a lot of what you talk about on your own channel,
Mhm.
on TikTok, is that we've got a lot of reasons why throughout human history that humans are out of tune, right? Even sleep is messed up. Our food is messed up. Like your videos have a humorous take.
Yeah, I
These
know exactly.
MFers.
Yeah, these mothered. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that entire series was a lot of fun. It still is, because we're finding things that in history, you know, they broke sleep. Sleep is not supposed to be 8 straight hours. It's supposed to be 2 parts, right? You're supposed to fall asleep early on in the evening, 9, 10 o'clock, and then sleep till 2, 3 in the morning, and then get up for an hour or two, and then go back to sleep.
Which defies logic. Now I'm like, oh, I have a sleep disorder. I need to go get some sort of
No,
sleep aid.
sleep aids are the worst things that you can get, like
Mm-hmm.
Ambien.
Mm-hmm.
Ambien's the worst thing you can give yourself. You basically suffocate your brain for 8 hours, right? It deprives it of oxygen so it can't breathe. It suffocates your brain for 8 hours. And then people wonder why they wake up and they're so groggy. Benadryl does the same thing. You take ZQL, you wake up and, you have that NyQuil like, ugh. It's
Mm-hmm.
because your brain's deprived of oxygen.
Yeah, it really is. And I think like, and also just all of us in America are working in schedules that are just not natural for our body in general too,
No.
right? So I think there's a lot of different reasons why we're all so out of tune, but so many of us,
They made you like
they made
it.
us out of tune, but so many of us feel like it's our fault. Like, what did
It's
we do
not.
wrong?
They made you like this because it was all about dollar signs and decimal points.
Right.
And you'll see, and if you watch any of my videos, the honest to God truth is that, it is the epitome of we're not going to evolve business to meet the humans.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to evolve humans to meet the business
For
because
profits.
we have to make money, right? That's what's important. So instead of looking at humans and going, okay, let's change the work day to fit what humans need.
Mm-hmm.
They go, no, we need constant productivity, constant results, constant profit margins.
Yeah.
So they evolve the humans.
Which starts in elementary school.
It does. Schools aren't schools. They're indoctrination results.
Yeah.
Right. They treat students like you're going to a factory. That's why you have grades A, B, C, D, E. Right. That's why you go to school from 8 to 4, 8 to 3 every day.
And not ask questions and look forward and like don't.
That's why you ring bells. That's why they do everything. And you look at it and go ask questions. Schools don't really want you to ask
They take
questions.
away collaboration. Everything is just follow this rules and you question it, and then you're the crazy person or you're the bad one, and they stifle creativity. And I work with children and I'm watching children like my own cry. Hazel does not want to go to school. She absolutely hates going to school. And she's like, Mommy, they make me sit still all day and I have to be quiet. And I'm like, you're 7.
Children should be playing.
They should be playing and climbing in trees.
That's
and
how
running.
they learn.
Yes. But then like each of us, if you really think about the fact that like, why are we all so dysregulated? Well, it started in childhood. A lot of it started with the epigenetics and our parents, right? Like our parents didn't have the tools, period. And then their parents didn't have the tools. And then that goes down into our body. That's a whole factor of it its own. Then you put children into schools with the fluorescent lights and the strict schedules. And like my children have lunch and recess were the same time frame for my child who was in intermediate school. It was the same 30 minutes was recess and her food time. And then they would hold them and not let them get food because they made a mess the day before. And I'm sitting there I brought food and I'm like waiting for my kid to eat and everyone has to be silent, having a silent lunch. I'm like, this is their one time to meet children all damn day long. Let them freaking eat and play. But now we're just robots, and then you're punished for it.
Recess away from, I had one of my daughter's teachers did that, she said, she used to say, "We're not going out for recess because you guys were bad." No, 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 no. You're gonna let them go outside and be children. That's how they learn,
Right.
right? Well, they misbehaved by whose standard?
Right.
Okay. And I've told you this, and one of the times we've had a conversations about stuff. One of my favorite antidotes is about no rules. A
Hmm.
woman goes to her therapist and says, you know, I really don't feel good. And the therapist looks at her and says, okay, name one thing that's wrong. Any one thing, pick something, doesn't matter what it is. And she looks at him, she goes, the dishes are bothering me. And he goes, okay, why are the dishes bothering you? She says, because I have to wash them twice. The therapist looks at him and goes, why? She says, because the dishwasher doesn't get them clean. So I have to hand wash them and then put them in the dishwasher. And the therapist looks at her and goes, so run the dishwasher twice. And she goes, you can't do that. Says who? Run the dishwasher twice. And when you look at that as a perspective, you go, I never even thought about that. So when you get kids in school that act like that and they go, well, they were misbehaving. Misbehaving why? Well, because they were asking questions. No, 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 no. That's what they're supposed to do. That's how they learn.
Hmm.
That's how I learn. And even I find it in personal times where people go, don't ask me why. Then why'd you say it in the first place? Because I needed to say it. Okay, but I don't understand. You need to, I want to understand and I want to help you, but I need to know why.
Right.
Everything is that simple.
Yeah.
Humans just make it complicated.
And going back to talking about the nervous system, we have extrasensory perceptions. Like I am someone who has clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairvoyance, right? I see, feel, hear, know, which I think more and more of us are tapping in and waking up to the fact that this is real and this is happening. But we have all of our sensory systems. We have our proprioceptive system where our body is in space, our vestibular system where our head is in space. We have our tactile touch system, smell, taste, vision, all of that, right? We have these sensory perceptors, which then filter in through our nervous system. And it's literally like, here's all of the information. And it's just going to go straight up to the brain. And the brain is going to, what you said was validate what the heart is sensing and feeling first, right? Because we should be leading with the heart and the brain should come second. And then that's how we actually make the more aligned choices for ourselves that feel better in our body, which then would decrease our overwhelm and decrease our dysregulation, right?
One of the coolest things I was able to do with this is I can scientifically prove spirituality,
Tell me.
that it's real and it exists. You see, for thousands of years, spirituality is a container in which humans didn't understand how their biology worked.
Hmm.
Any technology or idea that is incomprehensible to the human mind is considered magic.
Right.
So what they did in ancient cultures was didn't understand how this worked and gave it a frame of reference. Spirituality, energy, feelings, it's very real and it's something everybody feels and is 100% correct.
Hmm.
It's half the picture. Biology actually operates that. You say spiritual awakening,
Hmm.
it's nervous system reorganization. Manifestation, prayer is attention with intent,
Which
right?
goes into the observer effect,
Absolutely.
right? Is where you put your attention, where you put your focus, is where you put your energy, and that flows back to you through this conscious field.
That's because you're unbalancing the equation.
Tell me more.
So the universe itself operates on somatic arcs. It operates on an arc theory, but I believe in the electric energy or electric universe theory. And it says that everything in the universe is held together by electricity rather than this is where 0 point energy comes from, all of these things. The problem is the universe likes geometry, symmetry, balancing equations. It likes homeostasis. It likes coherence.
Hmm.
When you put that out into the field, you're unbalancing the equation. The universe then sees that equation and goes, this is not right. We have to fix it. So what does it do? It balances the equation back to 0. It makes it symmetrical. It makes it geometric. This is where you get sacred geometry. This is where you get numerology. That's how all of this works, is it's just an equation that the universe wants to balance.
So the idea of like you get what you give, karma, how do you explain that?
Karma is which way the equation balances is dependent on what you do. This is where quantum theory comes in. Is if you do bad, the universe is going to balance the equation because it's the simplest and easiest way to do it. Everything is simple. So if you do bad, the easiest way to balance the equation is to balance the bad.
Mhm.
If you do good, the easiest way to balance the equation is good. If you do something with intent and intention and specifically indicate what it is that you want,
Mhm.
and then give the universe a reason to balance the equation, that's what you call manifestation, right? If you look at even if you look at religion, right? There's a reason that all of the major religions, Christianity, Muslim, Judaism, what's the difference between the three? The prophet.
Mm.
In Christianity, it's Jesus. In Judaism, it's David. In Muslim, it's Muhammad. The only difference between the three is the prophet.
They talk so much about, oneness, and when you lean into some of the stories, there's such an overlap. And even in the ancient artifacts across civilizations, you see such similar, imagery. It's like, how is this? I think it comes to this point of like control of populace and having some kind of manipulation of humans, I think, to believe certain things and this is right or wrong, and then we're going to divide people versus just coming to the general consensus of, hey, maybe we're talking about the same thing and it's just different words or different like sets of beliefs a little bit adjacent to each other.
It all stems from the same spot. The
Yeah.
Roman Empire never died, it became a church,
Right.
right?
For
That's
which is still ongoing.
it's still an empire.
Yeah.
And you can argue that with me all you want. It is the last legal empire of the world, and it's still there. So what happens is if you look at what sin is in Christianity, what's sin, right? It's emotions. It's feeling. It's the most human thing of being human. It's the most human-y thing you do.
Mhm.
And they tell you it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. That's not what anybody in any religion, in any language, in any part of history ever taught.
And I think I talked about this on Ashley Cole's episode, is that we came here as humans to experience and to feel. And I recently had a channel message where it's like the entire experience of being a soul who's coming down to earth and experiencing what this is like is to feel. Otherwise, you'd be a robot. If you did not have your heart, for which is making the decisions, should be making the decisions. It's not currently for most of us. But if you have the heart being the one that's in control and guiding and leading, and you're listening to it without fear, because you know that your soul has been given a soul contract, if you want to call it that, or you want to have some sort of soul agreement. I'm supposed to meet you. I'm supposed to meet this person. I'm supposed to do this. And I'm going to listen to my heart because my heart is telling me what my soul came to learn versus my brain is over, complicating things. And I'm doing all these different decisions that I think are best for me. Like, if we could just get back to the fact that we're supposed to love, we're supposed to feel, we're supposed to hurt, we're supposed to actually experience all of the breadths of emotions versus just being a robot, because robots don't have hearts, right? AI can have compassion if you put it in, if you make it have that. But at the same time, it doesn't really have the human emotion that we get to experience, where we get to go through heartbreak, we get to go through loss, we get to go through joy, we get to go through suffering, we get to go through all of it. If we don't actually experience that, I don't think you're having a human experience. And to say that any of that's bad, it's invalidating to why we're here.
The whole point of being human is the
Right.
experience, right? Think about it. You'll drive an hour to go to a restaurant just for the experience. The whole point of being human is an experience. You can call a soul what you want. Most of the time, if you look at it from another angle, from another perspective, it's basically a perceptive, introspective personality that your that your body has created. It comes from some place. It's not, it's connected to something, but
I believe it's plasma. I believe that it comes from the electrical universe theory, but that we are all of this plasma light. How I perceived source and how people who have near death experiences is this iridescent, unimaginably beautiful light that is full of love. And that is what I experienced when I had my spiritual awakening was the most intense love I've ever known, more than even my husband and my children and my parents. I've never known this love. When I felt it, my body, I recorded this, my body softened and my muscles relaxed. And they said I was safe. I don't know what the they is, but my perception of, like you said, my psyche creates this they, this other. And I'd like to talk about the channeling and like how you perceive that as well next. But I felt so safe in an otherworldly way that I could not explain, that had never been there before, that happened in an instant on 2/2/2023. That day, I was sick as hell. I had pneumonia, the flu, watching a Pamela Anderson documentary. And my soul was like, she's a pure soul. No matter what anyone thought or said about her, I resonated with her. And I heard, you are pure like she is. And in that moment, I started crying. And then I felt an infinite army of angels wrapping around me. And like, you are light, you are love, and you came here to shine your light into the world. And I'm like, what in the is happening right now? Like, it was completely unexpected and completely welcomed because I've never felt so loved in my life. And I think, this idea there's a man in the sky sitting on a throne with a big beard is just not how I've experienced it. I don't experience it as being a masculine or feminine, or I experience it as all. And sometimes when I do my channel messages, I sign off as all. And, I've shared my channel messages with TikTok, with my family, friends. People love listening to them, and I share them with you.
Mm.
And then you started giving me insight on what you thought was going on with my channel messages. And so, scientifically, what am I experiencing as a spiritual person?
I'm going to come back to the soul thing because that something clicked while you were saying that. So the problem is that your nervous system, your subconscious, your parts of your body doesn't have the ability to speak. Your brain cannot cognitively make sense of it, right? So what spirituality becomes is then an interface, right? Your body, your subconscious, your various whatever parts of it through your channel, it's the interface in which it is being expressed. So in your case, a message that you have might be something that your body or your soul or your subconscious is trying to express. The subconscious usually expresses what it needs through dreams.
Mhm.
Okay. In some cases, like with you, that's your subconscious trying to express something, tell you what it is. That's just the container. That's the framework that your brain locks onto. Right. So it varying could be multiple different things.
Mhm.
But what spirituality is essentially a framework that gives comprehension to human beings to understand biological processes
Mhm.
that we as modern society still overlook and don't take into account. You mentioned soul, right? You say that, I can say introspective, personality. However, the plasma thing became interesting because ultimately, what is plasma?
Plasma is superheated gas, right?
It's energy,
It's energy, yeah.
right? Energy is neither created nor
It's only
destroyed,
transformed.
it's only transferred. So, in an electric universe theory, electricity is energy.
Mhm.
The energy is just transferred from one person to one matter to another state to this. So your soul very well could just be energy that has been traveling everywhere.
And I don't think that we can truly still as humans conceptualize the enormity of what the conscious field is of all of us, because there's been so many things. Like there's those monkeys across the world who started using tools on one side, on one island, and on another island, monkeys start using tools, the same tools. And you're like, what in the hell? Those monkeys didn't send an email and said, hey guys, we're going to start using this tool or something like that. Like it goes into this conscious field that we are somehow all unified in experiencing, because when now they're measuring the Schumann resonance monitors these things, and then they even have like the coherence of what the has a coherence variability or something like that they're tracking of when big events happen like 9/11. You can see that the collective had this big unified
Mhm.
sensation, right? Or I think it was when Taylor Swift got engaged, another huge, really seems kind of silly, right? But so many people were so excited by that, and in that it made this energy like kind of beacon up, kind of like a heartbeat jumping up
Mhm.
high. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, how are we all feeling something similar when we're all different parts of the world, but we're feeling that energy? When you have like, you can walk into a room and you can feel if the energy's good or bad, right? If someone's having a really high
That's the
energy day,
field.
that's the field. I've noticed that because when you told me that people were attuning to me when I was having a harder day, people would have a harder day. When I was having a better day, people would have a better day. And I was like, oh shit, I'm a little bit more powerful than I thought. I should be more conscious of my thoughts. And so now I'm learning to consciously create the reality for which I want to exist within, because I know the power of my energy that goes into the field and how I make people feel. And my employees are so attuned to me that my face, I shit you not, my face can have a micro change in it, and I'll have someone be like, "Hey, are you okay? I can feel you. Something's different." I'm like, and it was something happened, and I'm like, "I'm fine. I'll always be fine." I said, "But you're not wrong." And so I'm like, "How in the crap are these people like picking up on me?"
So the fun part about that is when you look at how the wording is between spirituality and actual science is uncanny. A system, in many cases, is a collection of complex, multifaceted pieces that create one. A human is a system. So we have, the nervous system, the cardiac system, your psychology.
Nervous
Respiratory
system.
system, yeah.
That's a system.
Mhm.
A field is a collection of systems. So when people say put it out into the field or into the quantum or into the ether or whatever you want to say, two sides to the same coin.
Mhm.
What they're doing is putting that out into the field of systems in which other systems respond to,
Mhm.
because that's how you can measure these things. The Schumann frequency, the Schumann resonance, that field coherence that they have is basically the entrainment possibilities. So when a big event happened and multiple people entrain to that same event, right? Like 9/11 or Taylor Swift or the Super Bowl
Right.
or whatever it may be, that creates a spike in the field because multiple systems line up on the same frequency. They line up on the same system. They line up through the same coherent event. So you get that spike and then the systems break back out.
So now that we're kind of we've dove into what is it like to have the spiritual awakening, explaining spirituality through the lens of science. My big question for you as a man of science is, do you believe in God?
Define God.
For me, God is a higher power that is all loving and supportive, because it makes me feel like I'm here for a reason, and it guides me and protects me in a way that I can't explain. And then through my own learning, I'm actually gaining every lesson that I've come to learn through this piece of what I have found to be divination, or what I have found to be love, that does not have any kind of logic behind it. That I can't base it in logic. It is just unbelievable love that protects me.
Religion is really kind of a funny thing, especially when it comes to Christianity. Jesus said one important thing that I tend to resonate with very, very strictly is that one of his biggest teachings was the kingdom of God is within you.
Mhm.
Okay. What if God is not an outside entity?
I
What
think
if it's
God is
you?
within all of
What if
us.
it's you?
Yeah.
See, Jesus wasn't teaching what the Roman Catholic Church that was once the Roman Empire, that is less than even started than that. What they're teaching is that he is separate. His teaching weren't about various different things because that's how you control the populace. He who holds the keys to heaven rules the world.
Mhm.
What Jesus was actually teaching, if you break down into what it is, and we are capable of seeing what was taught, we are capable of seeing what the Old Testament was. The Old Testament is just the Jewish Bible,
Mhm.
right? And we found intact copies of it from back then, not one, multiple. They're the Dead Sea Scrolls that basically says, hey, um, bros, like I can read this. Um, shit's missing,
Mhm.
right? And they went to the church and the church went, no, that's a lie.
Like the Book of Enoch.
Great. That's a lie. No, no, really not. We've got 11 different copies of this
Mhm.
that have all been scientifically proven, dated, and are consistent with everything back then. So, no, 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 my dude, this is fact, right? We have this. And the church went, it's not fact. Don't believe it. And people believe the church. Like, you have every evidence and right to believe that this is wrong.
Mhm.
So I believe that there is an X factor, a universal constant that we can call God, that we can call whatever you want to call it. But that constant connects us to that energetic universe,
Mhm.
that electric universe that gives us the ability to have things like premonitions or see things that we don't know exist and has an unquantifiable X factor. Some people call it God, others call it whatever,
The universe source.
the universe, source, whatever it is. But that ability rests within us as humans. We interpret that way.
I believe that we all have a light that lives within us as a spark of creation, and that what all of the messages that I get is that God lives within you. You are God. And that sounds blasphemous to say to people who don't believe that way, and that we are all God and that we are all of this creator. So create through love and create through kindness and community and creativity of just whatever you would like to create in this world. Put it out there. Live your passions. You're supposed to dream big, then dream bigger. That's literally what I get told. And when I'm doing that, when I'm in that frequency and that flow, everything comes easier to me. Every single thing comes easier to me when I just trust that I am protected, I am safe, and I'm loved.
There is a video out there that I encourage anybody that's watching to look up. It's on TikTok. And the video is, what if God is water,
Mm.
right? And he goes through, if God is water, that means that he is in, surrounds, and everything that in and you surrounds you, it binds you. Humans are water. We're 70% water. That would mean that every rainstorm is an awakening and every river is a church. And he goes through this whole thing and it gets you to switch perspective and go,
Mhm.
what if we have that ability as humans
Mhm.
to have that aspect
Mhm.
and not sit there and think about God as an outside being, but think of it as an outside force,
Mm.
an outside energy that our body perceives
Yeah.
and understands. And that's why when you pray to God, but prayer is just attention with intent.
Right.
And when you pray to God, you're just basically saying, please help. And this
Yeah.
is how you get answers, because then that energy balances the universal equation.
I completely agree with that. Like when I fell to my knees that day, January 13th, 2023, when I did not know how I was going to move forward with the situation that I had found myself in and the worst emotional betrayal, right? Of like, didn't see it coming kind of thing. Couldn't believe I was there. I fell to my knees. And for the first time in my entire life, pure desperation. God, please help me. I can't do this on my own anymore. And then the next day I started hearing the clarity. And it's almost like when, and that's what a lot of people who I've talked to, they go through a really, really dark night of the soul, something really profoundly sad is happening, and they call out for help. And it's like putting a bat signal out to your higher self and you're like, please, I cannot do this by myself. I need assistance. I'm calling it in now. And then you start seeing it manifest into your life. And you're like, okay, now you're ready for us. Because we are, I believe that we are a free will universe, free will species, right? That's what I've been told is that we have free will. We have free choice. We can choose to believe. We can choose to not believe. We can choose to wake up. We can choose to stay asleep because you're experiencing whatever your soul has come to experience. Some people are here to stay asleep to help with the contrast of what it is like to be in this dimension of time and space. And through their contrast, they're serving a very strong purpose. But when I chose to wake up, it shifted everything and everyone around me. And I think it's such a beautiful experience that I wish everybody would take and make for themselves. But I now have the higher understanding that it is not up for me to wake people up. It is not my job, my role to make people believe me or believe what it is that I'm saying. I am here to hold space for those that are making the free will choice to awaken, to be curious enough about what their soul's craving and what their soul came here to do. And I'm here to share in a way that destigmatizes what an awakening is, because I don't think it's just only spirituality. An awakening is an awakening to the truth, some really hard truths that maybe we haven't been told the facts of this world, of ancient civilizations, or even some modern civilizations and why things are the way they are. And through your channel, being the TikTok history teacher, you have awakened me and so many other people of teaching the truth about history.
That's one of the most astounding parts of being the TikTok history teacher is that I'll have people that go, you have been such a huge part of my healing journey, or I've awakened because of what you said, or I've done this, or I've done that. I'm like, I am a round face history dude. Like, I talk about history on the internet. I am nothing that is like, listen, I'm not TikTok Jesus, right? Like, literally, I am a round face history guy who talks about stuff that I didn't even create. Like, it's our history, it's world history. I just happen to use it.
Mm-hmm.
My platform is not my platform. It's everybody's platform that they allow me to use.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I try to find messages for people that bring happiness or joy or laughter or truth or honesty. A lot of my videos, like the ones I'm doing right now, I did a video on IKEA, right? It's not about anything. It's about a slight bit of history, but it's about making you laugh, and taking that 10 minutes to watch my video is about taking 10 minutes out of what could be a bad day for you
Mm-hmm.
and giving you 10 minutes to look at that and go, this dude, like this guy. Right. And then others are about truth and honesty. Like, look, this is why this is happening and this is why. And I'll have people look at me all the time and go, your content varies from left to right. It doesn't stay consistent. And TikTok hates that about me, is that I don't keep a consistent, cadence. And that's because it's not supposed to be content that is supposed to be, it's supposed to be ingested. It's supposed to be watched. It's not supposed to be content that is just quick views.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to look at it and you're supposed to understand it and see it and go, holy crap, I didn't look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then keep coming back and listening to more, because some days I just make you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Some days I talk about various other things. Other days I talk about how the Yamato's a coral reef, right? And
If you know, you know.
yeah, it has been and will always be the best damn coral reef Japan ever made. So other days I have an alter personality that just asks too many questions, which is based off of my 5-year-old son, right? So it's about making humans better.
Yeah.
It's about taking that, and if anybody asks me what the core of the TikTok history teacher is, it's about giving you 10 minutes, between 5 and 10 minutes, to take some time out of your day to maybe learn something,
I
to
absolutely
maybe
have.
to maybe open your eyes, to maybe get you to laugh, to give you a break,
Yeah.
to make your day seem a little bit better. And whether you like this one or not, you still listened. Even if it makes you angry, you still learned something, and maybe now that can give you some context of something in your life.
Yeah. And if it made you angry, maybe you need a somatic arc bracelet to help regulate your nervous system, because videos shouldn't make you so angry.
No, a video will make you angry because all of a sudden you know the truth. You look at it and you go, holy crap,
Oh, yeah.
they invented breakfast. Like, we've been doing this like time as it stands right now, there's a video on there. Time as we see it right now, the railroads invented time,
Right.
right? Time didn't work like it did before the railroads. They needed a uniform, consistent setup. So they literally engineered time.
Yeah.
Like we've done, I mean, we engineered a cat,
We did engineer a spy
okay? A
cat.
spy cat. We engineered a cat.
Have you done one on the food pyramid of hell?
No,
You
I
should.
have not.
Because my God, did that not help us?
Okay. The food pyramid is such a lie. Like, I know because I've done the research on it. Like, in the 1950s, doctors looked at that and went, this is not a good idea. Like, you can't give human beings that many grains. Like, that breaks down into sugar and that's going to cause an epidemic of diabetes. Like, this is not a good idea at all.
And the corporation is like, looks good to me. Stamp, signed off. And now we're like 2026 diabetes is what?
They looked at it and went, yeah, but this is going to increase profit margins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not good for humans.
Yeah.
This is going to increase profit margins. You're going to listen and agree, or we're going to take away your funding because we fund these people.
Right.
And then they went, okay, well, we agree.
Yeah.
You know how much nutrition something that astonished me is in medical school. Doctors go to school for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They have on nutritional management, the nutrition of a human being. They only get 2 weeks of nutritional training in 4 years. This is how you fuel your body. We don't study the nervous system. I firmly believe because there are people out there that understand what the nervous system is and that it's the key to being human,
Right.
and it's understanding humans.
Mm-hmm.
And if we teach the nervous system, then we understand humans, and awake humans are not good for profits.
Of course not.
So, but the nervous system, nutrition, these are things that should be studied that we don't. And part of somatic engineering and what we're doing is to bring awareness to how important the nervous system is and how simple household things like beads and essential oils or butterfly taps or 5 minutes of silence in a dark room, just laying there and allowing your body to reset. How simple things that you can do every day can actually change your life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you don't need all of the meds or all of the therapy or all of the this that they're telling you need. What you need is to put on a gemstone bracelet that has some oil on your wrists, go into a dark room, lay on the couch and do some butterfly taps,
And some breath work.
and then go sit outside with your feet in the grass. It takes a half hour and it can change your entire life.
It's so simple, right? You said sometimes the best answer is the easiest one, the most simple answer.
Everything is just that simple.
And returning back to our own bodies and our own breath and using our God-given nervous system to heal. And what Earth has given us to heal, like our ancestors had, we're going back to our roots. And as the Great Awakening continues to unfold, it's going to look different for every single person. But I want people to know that you're not alone in this. There's a lot of us that are helping in so many different ways. You're one of the huge ways. I know that what I'm doing, the work that I'm doing here at Open Door and on my social media online, and what me and you are doing with somatic engineering, and all of my other friends, my spiritual bestie tribe with my shamans and my energy healers and Reiki masters, like we are reclaiming what was called woo-woo and quackery and bullshit. And we're saying, actually, this is the realest thing that we've ever walked through and experienced before. And this is what our ancestors did. They worked with the elements. They worked with Mother Nature. They worked with the earth, and we got herbs from the earth. We got food from the earth. We learned how to do breath work to bring us into different levels of consciousness. We, use plant medicine to also help elevate us in consciousness. And this is natural. This is not illegal. This is not anything that's bad for you and your body or evil. That is programming. Stop, think about it critically for a second and be like, what is the harm in taking some deep breaths? What is the harm in wearing a gemstone bracelet? What is the harm in using an essential oil or an oil that is ancient? What is the harm in returning to my body and my breath? What is the harm?
There isn't any.
Right. So this is like this radical movement, it feels like, of what I'm calling the love revolution, where we're stepping into putting love out into this quantum field, this conscious field, and leading with our heart and not our brains and the programming that we've had before. And we're leaving that in the past. And people like me and you and so many of the other guests I've had on, I think are leading the way. I know are leading the way. So, Tony, what do you envision how big somatic engineering is, what you and I are creating together? What is your hope for the world?
That we change the way people view things. We change the way people view medicine. You know how amazing it would be for you to be able to run a somatic profile and find out what the nervous system is doing. And then being able to take a simple piece of paper to your doctor and put it down on the table and go, treat this. Now they're initially going to look at you and say, oh no, we're not treating that. That's not a problem. Okay, here's the thing. I'm the patient. You're the doctor. You work for me. I pay you to do this. Treat this.
Mhm,
Test this.
mhm,
Okay. Uh, my wife has, and a lot of this is been, my wife has a whole list of symptoms and problems that she has, right? Um, I've nailed it down through studying in somatic engineering that it's her pancreas. Nobody's looked at her pancreas because none of her systems is set with her pancreas, right? However, her father has a very long history with pancreas. It's a family history of this. It's her pancreas. That's what's happening. And I can explain it how it
mhm,
works. So I told her to go to her doctor and look at her doctor and say, test the pancreas,
mm.
right? And what he's, well, we don't think it's the pancreas. I already talked with my cardiologist and this is the case. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I don't care. Doctors work for you. You do not work for them. And I tell everybody that to remind them and anybody that's watching. And I know this is going to be a bold statement, but I want everybody to hear this as loud as they can. Doctors don't work for themselves. They work for you. If you don't like the answers you get, that's fine. There's 40 different other Dr. Patels you can go look at,
Right.
right? Go find another one. And if that doesn't work, go find another one. Find one that will listen to you. That's your right. It's your body. It's your healthcare, not theirs. If you don't want to be on a med, don't. That does not mean that don't take medication. If you need the medication, that's fine. But if you don't like the way it makes you feel, fine. There are 30 other meds that do the same thing. Let's find a different one.
Right. This is where I also tell people to lean into like the homeopathic and the naturopath doctors as well too as an
Hmm.
alternative. You can have a Western medicine and an Eastern medicine doctor.
Hmm.
You can have the whole recipe. You don't have to have one or the other.
Mm-mm.
Like look at all of your choices. Use all of your choices and your options. You are a free will human.
Simple
Use your free
things.
will.
Chiropractics is a holistic healing and it makes an incredible difference when your back is aligned because where does your nervous system run through? Where does it go through? It goes through your spine. Your spinal cord protects it. If it's out of line and applying pressure,
Yep.
it's not going to work right. So make sure your back's in line. Chiropractics,
Massage therapy too.
massage therapy,
Myofascial release.
occupational therapy if you're having like with what you do,
Acupuncture.
acupuncture, all of these therapies are 100% real. They've been doing them for thousands of years. And that's kind of where, when I look at history and look at things, we've done these things for thousands of years. Astrology was for thousands of years. Numerology is for thousands of years. When part of what I do is track back and go, when was the last time? When did we start saying this was quackery? When did we start saying this was woo?
Right.
Tell me when. Show me when. Right.
Hmm.
And the more I find out about it, it was the early 1900s. Right. Right about the time that medicine switched over because and it all stems from one single era and point, and that was Western medicine is created by John D. Rockefeller. You see, he got pissed off that the US government broke up his baby oil empire because it was claimed as a monopoly.
Hmm.
So he hired a man named Abraham Flexner to do what's called the Flexner's Report, where he went to all of these different schools
Mm.
and found out what they were doing, right? And how they were teaching, and then came up with a consistent way to work. That consistent way was allopathic medicine, which is what we use now,
Hmm.
surgeries, drugs, all of that, not homeopathy. Homeopathy was then discredited, right? Allopathic medicine is based on drugs. Drugs have a basis in what? Petroleum, plastics. Perfect thing to do for a guy who just lost a multi-billion-dollar empire. The empire that was Standard Oil didn't die. It just transferred to another mode. It transferred to medicine,
It's so gross. It's
right?
so gross.
So, and you can even go back into the various different things that happened in the early 1900s. The worst president we ever had in this country, ever, was Woodrow Wilson. Wilson was financial Satan for this country, right? All of the problems we had, income tax was established, was ID on him. The Federal Reserve was established under him. Like, I literally call him financial Satan. Like, President Financial Satan was the worst president we ever had, not because he was bad at policy, not because of what was because he established the policies and procedures and things that we have now that have quite literally screwed over an entire country for 200 years. Right. And this is not the way in history our founding fathers envisioned this country. We see the corruption and everything in politics right now. That's not how this was going to work. It's not how it's supposed to work.
I think if we can just realize that it was not always this way. We were taught that it was to be this way.
We were conditioned.
And we were conditioned and programmed. And when you look at medical books, which my grandparents have them because my great grandfather was a physician, which I'm so cool. I can't wait to find them and share them with you from the 1800s. Do you know the stuff that is in there would be insane now, but this is part of their medical dictionaries
And
it works. And so it's, I think it's time for us to pause and reflect as a society and maybe start critically thinking a little bit differently than I'm not just going to believe everything I hear and see. I'm going to listen to how I feel and acknowledge that society is out of tune, that we're not all broken. We're not all bad people. We're not awful. But in order to heal our nation, we have to heal ourselves and we have to heal our nervous systems. And it takes people who are bold, who are ready to go up against systems like you and me, who are like, hey, there's a different way. Why don't we take this questionnaire, this very simple questionnaire, and use what we know to help heal your body through very organic, natural methods and see what happens. And if you're satisfied with that, then tell a friend and then tell another friend. Because at this point in time, I feel like all of us are we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I think we're on this precipice point. Don't you agree? How we're transforming and shifting as a society?
we are not going against the establishment. Modern medicine, psychology, they're not wrong. They're incomplete.
Right.
They look at the human as a breakup of systems. Religion took spirituality, the spirituality aspect of it. Biology and the systems version of it went to medicine. Psychology, what was left over was left as to psychology, right? We just put those back together. What if they're not three separate things? What if they're all one thing? And we look at the human as a human and let each piece treat what they're supposed to. And together, we find the actual answer.
I'm ready for that.
Together, as medicine, as OTs, as paramedics, as somatic engineers, as people who are spiritual, we find the one answer, the why of why a human is working that way. And we treat that. We treat what they have wrong, not what we think is wrong. And heal a human, not just a body. We heal the spiritual soul. We heal the human itself. That's what we're going to do.
I'm so excited. I'm really, really, really thankful that you have brought me into the fold on this and are allowing me to be a part of this with you and to share my insight and my perspective and my experiences with you and with the world. And, for your time and flying all the way down here to Texas to share your wisdom and all of the beautiful things that you know and how you can articulate it so well for all of us to understand. So, Tony, where can people find you if they want to learn more about all of the beautiful things that you're doing?
If you're looking for me on TikTok, it's at TikTok History Teacher. If you want to get deeper into anything I build, you can find everything at oneancientearth.com or somaticengineering.info. And you can link over to everything we do there.
Okay.
The AHT tracks there's a AHT, it's ahtmusic.com.
Oh yes, we haven't talked about that. Hold on, that's the best way to end this. Okay, one last surprise if you've made it this far is we've got a new Awaken History Teacher song.
So this one is off of my new album called Ignition Point. And actually, probably what we'll do is after this is I'll set it to release on the date that this podcast is released. So they'll be able to hear it. Each AHT track is designed to do something. It's designed to make you feel a way first. It's designed to make the body understand what it wants to do first. Inconvenience is what we call a forward motion containment track. So basically, as it moves forward, it tells a story, and your body follows that story, follows how the music plays, each part of it is. And then the lyrics play into the emotion and go from there. Every song on this album is about an ignition point to an arc,
Okay.
right? Something that happens. Some of them are about ignition points for change. Some of them are about ignition points for relationships. Some of them are about ignition points of just human behavior. Some of them are about ignition points internally where you start loving yourself. So each one is an ignition point. Inconvenience is about a point in which something is noticed and your brain goes, I can't believe this is happening. It's not really part of my plan. This is inconvenient, right? But it's that moment where you look at this and it's basically, I see something I can't unsee.
Yeah.
Like now that I know it's there, I can't unsee this now. This is inconvenient. Sometimes it's easier just to be ignorant, but
Right.
it's not better for you.
Yeah, I will say my own spiritual awakening felt a little inconvenient at times because they had a deep emotional experience that I was walking through. I was like, this is not convenient that I'm crying on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. However, if it makes me a bigger, better person, then this is time for me to do this.
And a lot of my music is written from a perspective of myself. So like I have to put everything down that I do into something I can understand and create. So a lot of the music is created around people, around a feeling, around a person that works in a feeling, right? It's because that's how I can conceptualize it. That's how I can see it and how I can play the emotion to myself. So I go, okay, so if this were to happen, I'd feel this way. And then I write the song based upon how I would feel. So a lot of it is conceptualized based on that. However, I find that all of my tracks are about love and acceptance and kindness and empathy and how you will feel with people or a person or something. It's all about conceptualization and how that's what makes it positive. Part of AHT is that it's music that is enjoyable and fun to listen to, but it is very positive and non-religious. Because don't get me wrong, there are some religious songs out there that are great, but religious songs sometimes carry, like one of the ones we talked about earlier was Praise by Elevation Worship. It's a great song. It's just, I don't want to hear listen to Jesus 450 times in a row. Right? Like I get it, right? But it turns off people who aren't part of that religion, but it's a great song.
It's just love in a different way and having like this, the EDM kind of, backdrop and the binaural beats and all of the different frequencies that you use and the hertz that you use in these songs. I find that they just they make you feel good.
The lyrics are part of it. That's the emotional part of it. That's the psychological part of it. So I choose the words and what I do carefully, and I try to do it as a perspective. So this song in particular is about somebody seeing someone that they see it and they have a thought or a feeling and they're like, this is inconvenient. This is not what I planned to happen right now. But you can't look back.
Right.
So it's a very perceptive way of looking at it, and it puts you in the ability of being able to understand that so you can actually feel the emotion or go, oh, I get it. Like I would feel that way too.
Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
everything felt up and out. No loose ends, no second guessing. I was good inside the silence. Didn't feel a thing was missing. Didn't leave the door cracked open. I was moving without friction. Every part of me was focused. Then we met, and something shifted. Felt it here before I knew what hit me. One love, no one inside. Whole system changed in real time. And now my thoughts keep running in my head. Feel the pull, yeah, it's pulling me again. I didn't ask for this, it wasn't in the plan. I was fine, now I can't pretend. Wide awake, seeing things I didn't mean to see. Something real just took control of me. I didn't ask for this, wasn't looking when it hit. Yeah, I know. Well, this isn't convenient. Well, this isn't convenient. Did it in plan, didn't ask for it. Now I'm stuck with it. Girl, this isn't convenient. Now you're showing up in moments you're not in the quiet, in the static, in my skin. Every road I take feels slightly bent, like it's shifting just to fit what this is. I don't chase it, I don't cross that line, but I feel it every time I try. Telling myself it'll fade away, but it's louder every night I stay. And I know, yeah, I know, this isn't something I can outrun. Now my thoughts keep running in my head. Feel the pull, yeah, it's pulling me again. I didn't ask for this, it wasn't in the plan. I was fine, now I can't pretend. Wide awake, seeing things I didn't need to see. Something real just took control of me. I didn't ask for this, wasn't looking when it hit. Yeah, I know. Well, this isn't convenient. Well, this isn't convenient. Maybe this is more than timing. Maybe this is something true. Maybe I can stop denying what my body already knew. If this messes up the way I plan my life, if this pulls me somewhere I can't hide, if this changes everything I'm meant to be, then don't go easy. Yeah, convenience me. Now my thoughts keep running in my head. Feel the pull, yeah, it's pulling me again. I didn't ask for this, it wasn't in the plan. I was fine, now here I am. Wide awake, seeing things I didn't mean to see. Something real just made a home in me. If this is inconvenient, then I'll live with it. I know. Go on and inconvenience me. Go on and inconvenience me. It was inconvenient, I pushed it away, told myself I'll be fine. I accepted it, let it stay, let it cross the line. Now I don't wanna fight it, don't wanna keep it easy. If you're gonna stay with me, I want it to inconvenience me. I want you to inconvenience me. I want you to inconvenience me.
Dude, that was so good. That was so good. What a bop. What a bop.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that make you feel? Hearing your song like that?
That's there are some songs that I make that I'm like, okay, this one is really good. Some of them I make is good, but it's kind of funny is that you're sitting here and you're like, doing this and I'm sitting here and singing it, and then all of a sudden I turn over and look at Cole over here and he's just back there going like this, and I'm like, yeah, that's how this is supposed to work. You're not supposed to pay attention to it. You're supposed to sit there and go, I don't know why I like this, but I like it and I want to listen to it again. And then tonight when you're at home doing dishes, you're like, now my thoughts keep running. What the hell? We that's the whole point, is it's supposed to trigger your body.
Yeah. And like the movement of it all, and like just moving your body. And I think that's part of also the somatic healing, is just moving your body and dancing and just having music that feels good, that sounds good,
Simple
has a
things.
good message.
It's simple things.
Yeah.
Dancing is part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I make songs that people can dance to. I make songs that you can sit there and you and your wife can just dance in the kitchen to,
Yeah.
or you and your kid can spin circles around, or whatever it may be. You can do that. And that's the point of it's being human. The whole point of AHT music is being human. And it's one of the reasons why, like, people ask me all the time, they're like, well, you're going to release an album, you're going to do this. The AHT music always has been and forever will be free. It's not going to change. Doesn't matter what it is. I am never going to charge anybody to listen to my music. It's something that I do a lot of fun and I find very therapeutic to be able to make these songs.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. And if I have a rough day, I sit down and make a song because it makes me feel better.
Good.
You know? So
And we benefit from it. And so we love this. We love that you're doing this and having a creative outlet and being able to share and express yourself and shining your light into the world in such a big way. And I cannot wait to see what you do next, what we do next, and how the world continues to heal through everything we've talked about today. So thank you, Tony, so much for your time today. I thank you for traveling all the way down to Texas for this wonderful day and podcast. And I look forward to doing it again in the future.
Mhm.
So guys, as a reminder, we're all in this together. We're rising rapidly. And I just want you to know that you are safe in your healing. There's a lot of strategies that you can use that we talked about today. It's super important that you remember that we are one collective consciousness, like we talked about being a one unified field. So when I heal, you heal. And when you heal, I heal. And then when we all heal, we rise. We're in this together. You're not alone. We've got this. Keep going.